In this 25th anniversary year of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation continues to honor America's heroes. Heroes like Fire Lieutenant Michael Wells, who was inspired by 9/11 to serve his community. After 14 dedicated years of service, he lost his battle with occupational cancer, leaving behind his wife, Katie, and their 3 children. Tunnel to Towers honored Lieutenant Wells by paying off the family's mortgage in recognition of his sacrifices. Donate $11 monthly and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.
The Dominic Carter Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And folks, I'm starting with the fact that tomorrow, former Trump Press Secretary Sean Spicer will join me. But as far as today, King Charles was down at the 9/11 memorial, and it's exactly why I wanted the guest that we have live right now. We have heard a lot already throughout the country as it relates to the race for New York governor. But guess who was also up for re-election this year? President Trump's nemesis. And that is the Democrat Attorney General, Letitia James, who also sued Trump's business empire. And in this race, not just token opposition, Republicans have found a serious candidate with an enormous background to match. It's going to be very, very interesting. Her name is Sarita Kamadareddy, and she is a respected former prosecutor, national security expert, and a public servant with a career devoted to upholding the rule of law and protecting Americans. And she's joining me live right now, and she's going to be taking your telephone calls for the first half of the show at 800-848-9222. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that you had a news conference in Albany today as it relates to transit crime, and I'll circle back to that. But thank you so much for appearing.
Thank you, Dominic. It's great to be with you.
Okay, so you've got some serious credentials, okay? And so is it fair to say that 9/11, King Charles today, and I'm going to get to what happened Saturday with the president and so on. I want your opinion on a number of issues. But is it fair to say that 9/11, right, the king down there earlier today, 9/11 changed your mission in life, and why?
It is. I remember that day like so many others in my generation remember that day. For me, it was my first week of college. And I sat there. Initially, I had gone to college thinking I would become a doctor, like my parents. And 9/11 happened, and it broke my heart. And I felt strongly that I needed to do something to fight terrorism. And that is what led me to law school. I wanted to be a terrorism prosecutor, and I got to do exactly that. I came to New York. I was a federal prosecutor in Brooklyn, and I focused on prosecuting leaders in Al-Qaeda and in ISIS. And then I took over the narcotics unit and prosecuted leaders in the Sinaloa cartel and other Mexican drug cartels. And then I became chief of staff of the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration. So I spent my career going after terrorists and narco-terrorists. Wow.
I was looking at your resume, a bit earlier today. You are no joke. And, you have to know that Letitia James is going to take you very, very seriously. You are aware of that, correct?
She should. Everyone should.
What's this race going to come down to? Yourself against Democrat Letitia James?
This race comes down to returning the office of the Attorney General to being a professional office focused on the public safety of New Yorkers. It shouldn't be about national politics. We shouldn't have an Attorney General who's distracted with partisan vendettas or a partisan ideological agenda. We need an Attorney General who's a real prosecutor, who's actually going to do the things it needs to make New York safer. When you look at the problems that New Yorkers are facing every day, I talked about transit crime this morning. We see these awful stories. I just got notification of another story today of someone assaulting people every day, this known repeat offender assaulting people every day, and nobody does anything about it. New Yorkers are frustrated with that. They're frustrated seeing that people get randomly punched, randomly stabbed, and nothing gets done. The thing is, we know how to prosecute crime in New York. We know how to do it lawfully and ethically and with compassion. That is what I did for 12 years. The problem is we don't have law enforcement leaders in the AG's office and the DAs in New York City willing to do the job. And that's what this comes down to. Do you want to be a politician who spends all day yelling at national leaders? If so, you know what? Run for Congress or go on CNN and be an analyst. I will actually do the job of Attorney General, prosecute crime, reduce crime, homelessness, and fraud, and make New York safer.
So, and folks, we are chatting live right now to the Republican candidate for Attorney General in New York State, Sarita Kamatareddy. And her pedigree, I mean, it is the real deal. As I said a minute ago, this is not just token opposition. And I'm going to be starting with your telephone calls in just a second. So you graduated from Harvard College and Harvard Law School, and you began your legal career as a clerk for then Judge Brett Kavanaugh on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit. Is that correct?
That's right.
What was it like working for Judge Kavanaugh, who's now in the Supreme Court? And do you feel that he received a raw deal?
You know, Justice Kavanaugh is he is the hardest working person I know. He cares very deeply about doing the right thing and getting the law right. And that was my experience working with him. You know, I remember the first case I worked with on him was a case where we went through more than 100 drafts of the opinion. And that was not unusual. He thought about the law carefully. He thought about the facts carefully. And even more than that, he thought about how the law impacts everyday people and their everyday lives. It's not just theory or academics. It's about making sure that things are fair and just in people's everyday lives. And those are lessons I take with me in my practice. You know, as a prosecutor, I interacted with people from all walks of life. It's one of the real privileges of being a prosecutor. You're not just hanging out with your own friends in your own circles. You're meeting people from every part of New York. You're meeting victims. You're meeting witnesses. You're meeting the criminal defendants themselves, and you get to know these folks. And you understand human nature better, and you understand what motivates people better. And that's part of the reason I say all the time, we know how to fix this problem. We don't have to live this way in New York. It's really simple. I've sat across the table from hundreds of criminals. And sure, some do suffer from mental illness, but most are regular people. They're like you and me. They're making a calculation, a risk versus reward. And in New York, in the last 5 years, that calculation has gotten completely out of whack because there's really no consequences for committing crime. If we have a real prosecutor as Attorney General, make sure there's consequences for committing crime, then that calculation gets reset and we can go back to law and order in New York.
I have to tell you, looking at your credentials, it kind of slapped me in my face because I expected at best token opposition from state Republicans up against Letitia James. Your credentials, I mean, they couldn't have made you up like in a movie in terms of the credentials that you bring for this job. And so what I want to do, and I'm going to get to specifically, because it sounds like you want the office to focus more on crime than what Letitia James does right now. But I want to mix this up with the public. And so I'm going to bring in some of the telephone calls for you. And let me just say this, folks, please ask your question of the candidate. If you start with speeches, I'll be forced to cut you off. Let's begin with Jay, line 5, New Jersey. Jay, what's on your mind?
Yeah. Hey, Dominic, thanks for taking my call. My question to the candidate is just that, you know, I understand the fighting crime, and that's very important. But at the same time, I think that what Letitia James did has to be punished. And my question is, will anything be done to, you know, take action and punish those who did those things so those actions are not repeated by future tyrants?
I really appreciate your question. Listen, what Letitia James did was absolutely wrong. It was absolutely wrong. You don't target people because you disagree with them. You don't target people because of their politics. And I can tell you, as a prosecutor, I have never prosecuted anyone because of their political views or their political associations. So I can commit to you that I would never do that, and I never have. I agree with you. Letitia James needs to be held accountable, and I think she can be held accountable and should be held accountable at the ballot box. We should not tolerate that kind of attorney general in New York, and we need to send that message. We need to send that message as New Yorkers. We need to send that message as lawyers in a legal profession. We need to bring professionalism back to the Attorney General's office. That means enforcing the law without regard to race, religion, or politics.
And thank you for that response. Folks, we're chatting live with the Republican candidate for New York Attorney General going up against Letitia James. This is a race that will be national. The entire country will be watching. And her name is Sarita Kamadareddy. Serious credentials. Let's go to Peter, line 4, Long Island. What's your question for the candidate, Peter?
Hey, Sarita, I was wondering about endorsements. Most importantly, is Debbie Lovato, has she endorsed you? She's the...
Okay. You know, why don't you crawl back? I apologize for that, Madam Candidate. Why don't you crawl back in your mommy's lap and let her go feed you some cookies and give you some milk and do what you do, you nut job. So I'll ask you this, candidate, before we get to the first break here. So you want the office to focus more on, and we see other calls coming in. You know what? Let me just go to the next one. Demetra, line 2 in Queens. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, hello. How are you? I'm so glad that you took my call. I want to call to say that I've been listening, and I would like to volunteer to help this candidate. I live in Queens. I'm a New York City person, and she sounds like she's an amazing candidate. I like what she's saying and what she's doing.
Okay,
Hello?
So you want to volunteer. So if for folks that want to help you, how can they find out more?
Well, first of all, thank you so much. That's really kind of you. You can go to my website, Sarita, Sarita, for New York, all spelled out, .com. There's a form there if you'd like to volunteer, sign up. And that's the best way. That's the best way to sign up. And so I really appreciate the support. And Dominic, I'm not sure what the previous question was asking about, but I will just say I have received the endorsement of the last Republican Attorney General of New York, Dennis Vacco. He's the last person who was a federal prosecutor who became Attorney General. And I'll tell you why I received his endorsement. He wrote a letter, a lengthy letter explaining that New York now is exactly like it was when he ran and won. It is a place where people are concerned about crime and where a place that needs a prosecutor in charge who's focused on reducing crime. And he believes I can win. He believes I'm that prosecutor that is qualified to take over the office and fix it. And that's why he endorsed me. I've also received the endorsements of Mike Lawler and others. I received endorsement of former Congressman John Faso. I received the endorsements of people who have been victims in my cases, NHL players, Michael Pekka and Brian Berard. And I will tell you, the second week of my campaign, when I launched, I even had a former criminal defendant that I prosecuted reach out through an intermediary and say, listen, New York will be safer if you're in that office. I hope you win. So if folks are asking about endorsements, I've certainly been endorsed.
Well, I've got to take a break, and I'm going to come back and go back to more calls for you. We've got to have you back because we have a lot of calls, and I just don't have enough time to ask you all the questions. But I can just tell you this. I've been around for a long time, and I remember when Dennis was elected, Dennis Vacco, the Attorney General. And if I'm the Letitia James campaign, I'm honestly saying, right about now. It is time for a break. We are coming right back.
The Dominic Carter Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And we are talking live to the Republican candidate for Attorney General in New York State. Her name, Sarita Kamatareddy. And you know, I only have like less than 4 minutes, and you have completely lit up every line on the phone board. So I have to say now that we want to have you back in the future where I have time to go more in detail with the issues. But reading over your credentials, I could not believe what I was looking at this morning, right? So after 9/11, you go to law school. Then you're a prosecutor in the Eastern District of New York, and you spent a decade prosecuting leaders in Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Mexican drug cartels, on and on and on. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. You know, listen, it was a real honor for me to be a part of those cases and to lead those cases. I will never forget, there was a day in 2017, I was supposed to give an opening statement actually on September 11th, and out of respect for the day, we moved the start of the trial to September 12th. But that was the opening statement in a case of an al-Qaeda bomb maker who tried to wipe out a U.S. military base in Afghanistan. Luckily, the military was able to stop that bomb from going off. And when they took it apart and unwrapped the brown packing tape around that bomb, they found fingerprints. And those were the fingerprints of the man that I prosecuted in federal court in Brooklyn. And along with a team of my colleagues, we convicted him. The jury came back with a verdict of guilty beyond a reasonable doubt on all counts. And that is exactly the kind of case that I had hoped to do as a public service to my country after 9/11, and it was an honor to do that. You know, in the process of becoming a federal prosecutor and doing those cases, I learned a lot about the threats facing this country, not just from Al-Qaeda, but also from the drug cartels, the international drug cartels that introduced fentanyl into the illicit drug supply here in the country, and it has killed hundreds of thousands of Americans over the years. I prosecuted cybercrime, which is another crime that people are experiencing, large and small. People are getting hacked into, they're getting scammed, they're getting false text messages that lure them into giving out money or their credit card numbers. These are the things that are actually affecting people every day. They're feeling it every day. They're losing money. They're feeling like there's no law and order anymore, and no one's doing anything about it. And these are exactly the kinds of things that an attorney general who's focused on crime in New York and not distracted by national politics can do something about.
You know, I apologize to our audience. Again, you've lit up every single line, but I've got 20 seconds into a national break that I've got to toss to. What will a debate between you and Letitia James look like? We only have 15 seconds here.
It will be a comparison of our records. Listen, you look at the 7 years that Letitia James has been in office. Look at the state's own data from since 2019. Crime is up 26%. Okay, drug deaths are up 63%.
And I have to step in. Thank you so much. I want you back very, very soon.
I'll be back anytime, Dominic.
The Dominic Carter Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And we are back. Folks, you know I've been around the block a few times. I'm not new to this thing called politics. And I am telling you, right, I remember covering Dennis Falco, the last Republican Attorney General. And as I was looking at this lady's credentials, her resume, this lady is straight up the real deal. And if I'm Letitia James, I really am going, uh-oh. Now, yes, Letitia James has Democratic advantage in terms of the numbers in the state, but you can't get around this lady's credentials. And I'm talking about Sarita Kamatareddy, the Republican nominee for Attorney General. So if you think that this was like the mayor's race where Republicans only put up token opposition, I don't think so. This lady's credentials are the real deal, and I'm going to have her back. I apologize to all of you that were on hold to speak to her, that we just didn't have time, so I'm going to have her back for the entire hour where I don't have to rush. We can take our time. We can deal with the issues. I'm looking at the phone calls. Teddy in Yonkers says it's a no-brainer that Comey will be cleared. I don't know, Teddy. I don't think so. We'll see what happens. I'm coming to you in just a minute, Teddy. In just a minute, I'm coming to you. But I have to say this. Mom Johnny, who do you think you are? This is this guy's theme song.
Oh, yeah.
Who do you think you are, Mom Johnny? Who?
The big stuff. Who do you think you
Did
are?
anybody tell you, Mom Johnny, that you're just the mayor of New York City? You're not King Charles. Yeah, you wear your nice suits, Mom Johnny. And all the girls go around online doing their little sexy dances talking about the name is Mom Johnny. Who do you think you are? Mr. Big Stuff. I don't think so, Mom Johnny. So what did Prince / King / Emperor Mom Johnny, what did he do this time? What did Mom Johnny do this time? He says that if he had a meeting with King Charles, what he would have asked for if he had a meeting with King Charles. Well, it's a good thing, Mom Johnny, that you did not have a meeting with King Charles.
Do you have a specific message you might want to deliver?
I'll be saying that today I'll be attending a wreath laying alongside a number of other elected officials, including Governor Hochul, Governor Sherrill, and the focus of that wreath laying is to honor the more than 3,000 New Yorkers who were killed in the horrific terror attacks of September 11th. And that's what I'm really looking to do at that event.
So you haven't thought about anything you might say if you say hello to him and he stops to chat?
You know, if I was to speak to the king separately from that, I would probably encourage him to return the Kohinoor diamond.
Okay.
Okay. When did you take over President Trump's duties? You do understand that you're a mayor and we have, hundreds of mayors throughout the country? Yes, you're the mayor of... You know what, Mom Donnie? You are showing that you're a novice, that you don't know what you're doing, that you're a little boy playing mayor. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. That's what it is. 800-848-9222. Let's go to Mike, South Carolina, line 1. Mike, what's on your mind?
How you doing, Dominic? You made some great points, and I hear the math teacher is on deck to come on the show. But anyway, I've been listening to you for years. King Charles, it was a nice appearance in 9/11. I knew 5 people who died 9/11. I volunteered 3 weeks later. They never forget people I met. And, Letitia James, way to go, Letitia, with your deception with real estate. I think it was with your dad or something. And that Republican, I can't remember her name, for Attorney General, she had a lot to say. And she's got, like you said, Dominic, a sterling resume. All right.
Oh, thank you, Mike, for the call. I'll put it to you this way. I would not want to run against her with her credentials. No. This lady that's running against Letitia James, the Republican nominee for New York State Attorney General. This lady is the real deal. Period. Full stop. 800-848-9222. So I want you to listen to Ellis Boyle, the acting U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of North Carolina, as it relates to James Comey.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney General. Earlier today, a grand jury in the Eastern District of North Carolina returned a true bill indicting Mr. James Comey with committing 2 felonies. Count 1, he knowingly and willfully made a threat to kill and to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States in violation of 18 U.S.C. 871A. Count 2, he knowingly and willfully transmitted in interstate and foreign commerce a communication that contained a threat to kill President Trump in violation of 18 U.S.C. 875C. Mr. Comey will be given every form of due process all citizens are entitled to receive, to include a trial by a jury of his peers. In the Eastern District of North Carolina, it doesn't matter who you are. We take all threat cases seriously and prosecute anyone who violates federal law, regardless of title or status. Thank you.
And that is the acting U.S. attorney. So I'm about to go to Teddy in Yonkers. But, folks, I was walking along the beach. And I just happened to see the seashells that said 8647. And I said, wow, look at this. Hey, self. And then I said to myself, yes. And then I said, let's take a picture of what someone else did here, and let's just put it on my Instagram. All right, Teddy, line 2 in Yonkers. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Dominic, it won't even go to trial. It will be thrown out. Number 2, I'm glad Federal Reserve Chairman Powell will continue serving out his term until it ends. Okay? The vindictiveness of Trump against not only Powell, but the board, okay, and what it stands for, okay? And I'm happy for that. And
So wait, Teddy, wait. So 8647, you believe that Comey just walked up on that?
I never even knew what 8647 meant.
Right, you don't have to know. You're not a prosecutor. You didn't answer my question. Do you think Comey just walked up on that?
I have no idea, Dominic. But
so that's not important, but it's not even going to go to trial. How do you know it's not going to go to trial?
Go to trial, Dominic. It's not going to go to trial, and I'll take you out to the best lunch going. Okay?
The best lunch going. Nah, but thank you for the offer, Teddy. Teddy, none of us know what's going to happen with this case, and it may go to trial. And then what happens if he's convicted? What are you going to say at that point?
Dominic, what do you want to happen?
It's no skin off my apple one way or the other, but I don't think it's cool to post online something that's a direct threat to the life of the president of the United States. Teddy, do you think it's cool that they've attempted to kill this man on 3 different occasions? I know you don't think that, do you?
I've already answered you that question the other night. I said
so I'm supposed to remember what Teddy said from the other night, right?
You always remember, Dominic, okay?
And I do. Mike, I'm laying a trap, Teddy. That's why I'm trying to get you to respond. But you are correct. I do always remember. But I want you to answer the question for the record.
I said to you, it's horrendous that anyone should try to hurt the president of the United States or attempt any type of harm to the president of the United States.
Okay, so then how do you know it won't even go to trial?
Because there's not a sufficient amount of evidence saying that he intended to try to hurt the president or to encourage somebody to hurt the president.
Okay, so I know I'm going in circles here, but before I let you go, Teddy, so posting that on your Twitter, I mean, oops, look, honey, it says 8647 in the sand. And oh, honey, let's put this on my Twitter. You don't find that to be disingenuous, that entire story, Teddy?
Dominic, like I said to you before, I never knew what 8647 stood for.
Right,
That's
and
all.
like I just said, Teddy, you don't have to know. The only people that have to know are the prosecutors, and 86 means get rid of, right? I even think they used to say it on Get Smart, 86 or whatever, but in the restaurant industry, it means get rid of. And of course, 47, the 47th president of the United States. Will you agree with me, Teddy, and then I'll let you go, I promise, that it's despicable what Comey did, putting that on his Instagram? Would you agree with that?
I'm not going to agree with anything that I'm not familiar with. And let me just
you're not familiar with it, but you know that it's not going to trial, Teddy. You know I love you, Teddy. Thank you for the call. And hey, Teddy, you didn't blow your stack, so that's a good thing. You didn't, raise your blood pressure. Dominic Carter here with you. Let's go to Grant, line 3, Garden City. Grant, what's on your mind?
I wanted to say about getting guns off the street, the easiest way to do it is make it a capital crime if you use a projectile weapon in the commission of a crime. Loaded or not, fired or not. One strike, you're out.
Now, Grant, how in the world we can't even get Democrats to stand for the president of the United States, but they stand for King Charles. And you think you're going to make this a capital type situation for guns?
It's just an idea that I think
okay,
would work.
All right, fair enough. Thank you for the call, Grant. It's an idea that should be the case, but the Democrats. Judith, line 2 in Brooklyn. What's on your mind, Judith?
Dominic, I'm reacting to Teddy. All these Teddys out there, not just Teddy, but all of them, with their mindset, and they're constantly talking, attacking Trump. I'm sick and tired of it. President Trump is a billionaire. He was a billionaire before. He didn't need this job as president. The reason he went into this job as president is because he really sacrificed all of his comfort zones and all of his money and everything to try to get this country into a direction that he saw was going off the cliff with his Democrats, okay, Teddy and all the Teddys out there. I'm sick and tired of you people lying about President Trump, lying about his intentions. You can see that his policies and everything he does is only trying to get that America should be good and the free world should be good, and it's a balancing act. It's not so simple. Okay.
Hey, Judith, but you know the counter argument. You already know, Judith. I don't like his personality. I don't like how he talks to people. I don't like how he treats people. Okay, but the counter argument is that he's effective. He's delivering for the American. I don't like the way he communicates. I don't like what he puts on Twitter. I just don't like him. We need a new president. So Judith, the accomplishments, they don't matter at all?
I want to tell you something. These people, they deliberately ignore everything. They're off the rails. They're deranged. I'm sorry, they're deranged. And I'm sick and tired of having President Trump being maligned. I just am, with all the lies and all everything. When this poor man hardly sleeps, he's working so hard. He knows the midterms are coming up. So he's got so much pressure. At the same time, he's balancing so many things in the air, trying to not anything fall, and he's dealing with all kinds of crappy people out there in the world and in here too, okay? People that are anti-American, anti-everything, and it's just like so sickening. It's just making me very upset. Very
fair enough, Judith. Thank you for the call. And folks, I told you before, I'll tell you now. Oh, Dominic, I'm very worried about the midterms. I told you don't worry. I told you President Trump is always playing chess. Republicans will win in terms of the midterms. Write it down, just like I told you he was going to beat Kamala and that it wouldn't be a contest. Write this down. Dominic says the Republicans are safe for the midterms. We are coming right back.
The Dominic Carter Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And the Tunnel to Towers Foundation final thoughts of the day. Oh, Mom Donnie.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Big Stuff himself.
The big stuff.
So I would tell the king to return the diamond to India. You're just the mayor.
Now because you wear
Mom Donnie, I'm not one of these pretty young ladies that get all hot in the pants when I see you start dancing. The name is Mom Donnie. Give it a break, man. What is wrong with this guy? You think you're head higher than everybody above, every star above. The Mom Donnie theme song. Who do you think you are, Mr. Big Stuff? You're never gonna get my love. Okay. Oh, there is all the girls. Wait, all the girls.
I know you
They
broke
think you're so cute, you and your racist wife, Mom Donnie.
You made him cry.
You made him cry, Mom Donnie. Let's go back to wait a minute. Debbie Lobato, Staten Island says, to all my fans and haters, I will support anyone who is for law and order and justice. I will support anybody who is doing the right thing in America and supports our Constitution. And they have to have common sense, not left-wing liberals. And let the church say amen for Debbie Lobato, Staten Island. Let's see here. Let's go to Ernie, line 5, Staten Island. New Jersey. What's on your mind, Ernie?
Hey, Dominic. Yeah, the Democrats on the left are such hypocrites. Why don't they have any no king protests now while the King Charles is here? They're phony.
Hey, Ernie, did you see nut job Ilhan Omar taking out her camera and taking pictures of the king? Did you see that nut?
They're such clowns. They shoot themselves in the foot.
You could say that again, Ernie. You know, the president speaks and, sitting on your hands. The king speaks and rah, 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 rah. Thank you for the telephone call. Let's go to Christine, line 1, Long Island. What's on your mind, Christine?
Yes, hi, good afternoon, Dominic. Teddy drives me such insane because if James Comey was a man of integrity who was the leader of the FBI for about 10 years, he would have just erased that 86-47 if he just stumbled upon it and gone on his merry old way. So this crap that, I don't know what it meant. It didn't matter if Teddy knew what it meant or 50 million other people didn't know what it meant.
Agreed.
James Comey knew what it meant.
Right. And as the former head of the FBI, you should not be taking part in anything like that. Maybe you should have called law enforcement and reported it. Not put it on your Instagram. Christine, great point. Thank you. Let's go to Mike. Line 2 in Brooklyn. Mike, what's on your mind?
Yeah, how you doing? Mike,
Good,
my
please
idea
go ahead.
is Trump knows that he's not going to do jail time for this, but he's going to be bankrupt when he's all done defending himself. And that's more damaging than going to jail.
You know what, Mike? I've said this before. When the feds come, you better be liquid. You better have about 500,000 liquid because Mike is correct. That's what it's going to cost to defend yourself. And they want at least 300,000 cash defense counsel to go to trial. So Mike is correct. You better have the moolah. Let's go quickly to Vincent, line 4, Long Island. Vincent, I can get you 20 seconds. Go ahead.
I'm tired of hearing about this Trump derangement. But if you concentrate on what's going on, it's really American derangement. And as far as O'Donnell goes, with all these people leaving New York, that's his intention. So the government could take over little by little everything going on. Grocery stores, it don't matter. Every store there is. They want it to be government.
I hear you, Vincent. Let's leave Mr. Big Stuff alone. He's the ladies' man. Mom Donnie, him and his racist wife. Folks, never forget, that's the commitment America made on 9/11. You can honor it by donating $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers and amplify your impact. Go to T2T.org. T2T.org. I'm back live at midnight.
Thanks for listening to The Dominic Carter Show. You can hear The Dominic Carter Show weekdays at 3 p.m. and Monday through Thursday at midnight and Sunday starting at 11 p.m. on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
This is Roger Stone with a serious warning for you. The U.S. dollar has lost 97% of its purchasing power since 1912. Your savings are exposed, and gold and silver remain the final hedge against currency devaluation, inflation, and ongoing economic uncertainty worldwide. So call 844-272-2428 now to get your free gold and silver guide from American Sovereign Bullion and learn how to protect your wealth with gold and silver. Call 844-272-2428 or visit dyingdollar.com. That's dyingdollar.com.